Welcome to The Sky Fell Twice. This channel is dedicated to preserving history through carefully researched and fact-checked accounts. Everything in this audiobook is based on real events and authentic operations, without embellishment or fiction. All information is verified with credible sources listed in the description below. Please note that this is an audio presentation. The images shown are for illustration only and may not match the exact moments described. Thank you for joining us, and let's dive in. During the height of the Cold War, the United States Air Force maintained a constant nuclear deterrent against the Soviet Union through a program called Operation Chrome Dome. From 1961 to 1968, 12 B-52 Stratofortress bombers carrying thermonuclear weapons remained airborne at all times, orbiting over the Mediterranean and north of Alaska. Each aircraft stayed aloft for 24 hours, flying approximately 10,000 miles before being relieved. The mission was designed to ensure immediate retaliation capability if Soviet missiles struck American soil. What military planners had not fully anticipated was that these armed bombers would create their own catastrophic risks on American territory and allied nations. The Goldsboro Incident. On January 24, 1961, a B-52 bomber departed on a routine Chrome Dome mission, carrying two Mark 39 hydrogen bombs over North Carolina. Each weapon contained a yield of 3.8 megatons, roughly 260 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. During the flight, the aircraft experienced a fuel leak that rapidly escalated into a structural emergency. As the crew struggled to maintain control, the right wing failed, causing the bomber to break apart below 10,000 feet near Goldsboro. As the fuselage spun violently toward Earth, centrifugal forces pulled on a lanyard in the cockpit, the same mechanism a crew member would use to intentionally release the bombs over enemy territory. Both weapons separated from the disintegrating aircraft. One bomb's parachute deployed successfully, allowing it to drift down and embed its nose 18 inches into the ground near Shackelford Road. The second bomb plummeted without parachute deployment, striking a farmer's field at high speed and leaving an 8-foot-wide, 6-foot-deep crater. Recovery teams from Sandia National Laboratories arrived to assess how close the weapons had come to detonation. The Mark 39 bomb required multiple safety switches to arm itself for nuclear explosion. These switches normally remain in the safe position until deliberate cockpit activation. Analysis revealed that the falling bomb had gone through nearly all of its arming sequence. 3 of the 4 safety switches had activated during the fall. Only a single low-voltage switch, the MC772 arm/safe switch, had prevented 3.8 megaton detonation. The weapon that fell without a parachute disappeared into waterlogged farmland near Nahunta Swamp. The Army Corps of Engineers spent weeks excavating the impact site, digging to a depth exceeding 40 feet. The high water table made recovery operations increasingly difficult as equipment threatened to sink into the muck. Workers managed to retrieve a parachute pack, some high explosives, a tritium bottle, and a portion of the nose. However, the uranium-bearing secondary stage of the weapon, weighing thousands of pounds, had sunk deeper than excavation could reach. After digging to 50 feet, the Air Force abandoned the recovery effort. Rather than continue the operation, the military purchased an easement from landowner C.T. Davis for $1,000. The agreement prohibited any digging or drilling deeper than 5 feet within a 200-foot radius circle centered on the bomb's estimated location, approximately 180 feet underground. The Department of Energy later reported no detectable radiation or hazard in the area, though a portion of a hydrogen bomb containing uranium remains buried there permanently. The Palomares disaster. On January 17, 1966, a B-52 on Chrome Dome patrol approached a KC-135 tanker aircraft for routine mid-air refueling over the Mediterranean coast of Spain. The bomber carried 4 unarmed B-28 thermonuclear weapons as part of its deterrent mission. During the refueling maneuver, the B-52 pilot misjudged the approach angle. The bomber pitched upward and collided with the tanker at altitude. Both aircraft exploded, killing 7 airmen. The 4 hydrogen bombs fell toward the small farming village of Palomares on Spain's southern coast. 2 bombs struck the ground at high velocity. Although safety mechanisms prevented nuclear detonation, the conventional explosives surrounding the plutonium cores exploded on impact. The blast created craters on either side of the village and functioned as radiological dispersal devices, scattering radioactive plutonium dust across houses and tomato fields. One bomb landed intact with its parachute deployed. The fourth weapon fell into the Mediterranean Sea and vanished. Within 24 hours, truckloads of United States troops arrived from nearby bases carrying handheld Geiger counters. Readings showed extensive contamination throughout the agricultural area. Recovery teams wearing no protective equipment searched the tomato fields for bomb components, while exposed to plutonium contamination. The Air Force assured both troops and Spanish villagers that the radiation posed no danger because it would not penetrate skin. This assessment proved tragically incorrect, as cleanup workers later developed cancers linked to radiation exposure from the mission. The missing fourth bomb triggered an international crisis. Reports leaked to the press that a nuclear device had been lost, generating front-page news worldwide. Spanish dictator Francisco Franco's government initially denied any nuclear weapons were involved and refused to evacuate Palomares residents. Soviet Radio Moscow reported that a death rain of lethal radiation covered the entire area. To counter growing panic, American and Spanish officials staged publicity events, claiming the land was safe. The search for the Mediterranean bomb became the most extensive underwater recovery operation in history at that time. The United States Navy deployed 34 vessels manned by 3,425 personnel, along with 4 manned submersibles and 3 unmanned vehicles. After 2.5 months of searching, the deep ocean submersible Alvin located the weapon on the seafloor. The crew nearly died when the submarine became entangled in the bomb's parachute during recovery operations. The Navy successfully retrieved the weapon intact. The cleanup at Palomares removed approximately 1,400 tons of contaminated soil and vegetation, which the United States shipped to South Carolina for disposal. However, the operation was incomplete. Subsequent investigations discovered 2 buried trenches of radioactive debris and approximately 100 acres of land that remained contaminated with plutonium decades after the accident. The Palomares incident remains classified as the worst nuclear weapons accident in history. The Thule crash. On January 21, 1968, a B-52 bomber carrying 4 B-28 thermonuclear bombs departed on a Chrome Dome alert mission over Baffin Bay near Greenland. The flight path brought the aircraft near Thule Air Base in Danish territory. Approximately 6 hours into the mission, a fire erupted in the navigator's compartment. The crew attempted emergency procedures, but smoke rapidly filled the cabin, making the aircraft unflyable. The pilot ordered the crew to abandon the aircraft before attempting an emergency landing at Thule. 6 crew members ejected safely using ejection seats. One crew member who lacked an ejection seat was killed, attempting to bail out manually. The pilotless bomber descended and crashed onto the frozen surface of North Star Bay. The impact and subsequent fire caused the conventional explosives in all 4 weapons to detonate. The blasts ruptured the nuclear components, dispersing radioactive material across the ice. Within hours, the Air Force activated Strategic Air Command's Disaster Control Team. Denmark and the United States launched Operation Crested Ice, an intensive recovery and decontamination effort. Sandia National Laboratories deployed newly developed FIDLER instruments, portable scintillation counters designed to rapidly survey large contaminated areas. The device had been created specifically in response to the Palomares accident 2 years earlier in anticipation of future nuclear mishaps. Recovery teams worked in extreme Arctic conditions to collect bomb fragments and contaminated ice. Despite extensive efforts, investigators could not account for the secondary stage of one weapon after operations concluded. The Thule accident immediately ended all Chrome Dome missions. The Strategic Air Command discontinued the practice of maintaining armed nuclear bombers on continuous airborne alert. In 1995, a political scandal erupted in Denmark when documents revealed the government had given tacit permission for nuclear weapons in Greenland, violating Denmark's 1957 nuclear-free zone policy. Workers who participated in the cleanup campaign later sought compensation for radiation-related illnesses they developed in subsequent years. Legacy and safety changes. The Department of Defense officially acknowledges 32 broken arrow incidents between 1950 and 1980. The military term for accidents involving nuclear weapons that do not create risk of nuclear war. Many occurred on United States soil. 6 nuclear weapons remain permanently lost and unrecovered. Of these missing weapons, only one retained the capability for nuclear detonation when lost. After the Goldsboro near detonation, the Air Force discovered that the Mark 39 Mod 2 bombs involved lacked a critical safety modification called Alt-197. This upgrade was designed to prevent the weapon's low-voltage thermal batteries from charging if the arm/safe switch remained in the safe position. All Mark 39 weapons without Alt-197 were immediately removed from deployment until the modification could be installed. However, subsequent testing revealed that even weapons with Alt-197 could activate their thermal batteries through cable shorts caused by impact damage. The accidents prompted fundamental changes to nuclear weapon design. Engineers developed more stable explosives to reduce the risk of plutonium dispersal from conventional detonations. Safety procedures received comprehensive review across all strategic air command operations. The Chrome Dome program, despite its intended role as a deterrent, had demonstrated that maintaining armed thermonuclear weapons on continuous airborne patrol created unacceptable risks of accidental detonation or radiological contamination on friendly territory. These accidents demonstrate that the greatest nuclear threat during the Cold War did not always come from enemy action. Sometimes the danger came from mechanical failure, human error, and the inherent risks of maintaining thousands of weapons on constant alert. At Goldsboro, a single switch separated North Carolina from a nuclear catastrophe. Today, 6 nuclear devices still rest in locations ranging from swamps to ocean floors, unrecovered and inaccessible.